Hi, my name is Polly Romine. I am a grant analyst at the Utah Office for Victims of Crime, and I am going to walk us through how to do a billing for state-funded grants. So you can see that I am logged in to the grant as a subgrantee. First thing I'm going to do is go in and get the billing ledger. I'm going to download that to my computer. I'm going to save it somewhere safe that I know where it is, and somewhere that I can edit it. With the Excel billing ledger, we do ask that you please use it in Excel. Please do not open it up as a Google Doc. Please do not use it in an Apple format. When you open it up in a different program, it essentially opens up all of the locked and preserved formula areas, and when the locked spaces get opened up, they get edited, and the ledger has a lot of data in it and formulas in it that can get wiped out if we are using it in a different program. So anyway, please use it in Excel. There are two formats of the ledger. One is a quarterly ledger, and then also there is the monthly ledger. If you bill quarterly, which most of our subgrantees do, your ledger will only have the quarters on it. If you bill monthly, of course, yours will have the months. I am going to use the monthly billing ledger in this example, but both ledgers are exactly the same, apart from the monthly has the months in it. So I would also recommend that you do fill out the ledger first before you fill out your payment request. You will use the ledger to fill out your payment request, because the payment request in the Utah Grant Management System, in this system, the payment request and the ledger have to match. Let's talk about the ledger. Okay, so the State Funds Budget tab is the very first tab. This is your approved budget. This is what essentially is in the system. These are the things that you can bill. This State Funds Budget tab also has remaining balances on here. It has your award number. You'll be able to see your award number here if this was an actual ledger. This is going to have all the math showing, or the justifications or explanations showing what you entered in at the beginning of your grant application and what was approved. So you will probably I will reference the State Funds Budget tab quite often as I am doing a payment, as I am approving a payment as a grant analyst. So we're going to start on quarter one, or also if you're billing monthly, July. All right, so you will fill out point of contact, and you'll also fill out person completing form. So sometimes people have finance people who are different from their point of contact. This helps us know who to contact if there's a question or a concern. Each quarter or each month is that way, so please fill that out for us. Your agency and your award number sometimes are already filled out. That might depend on your grant analyst, but if it's not filled out, you can always put that in. All right, so the fun place to start first, personnel and fringe. You are going to put in the name of the person you are billing for and the position. Make sure that the person that you're billing for and the position are both somebody that we expect, and or the position that we expect based on the approved grant budget that's in your State Funds Budget tab. There are not names here, but we do keep track of position names and people working those positions for most grants. You would be an outlier, and you would be working with your grant analyst if we don't know who exactly is working in each position. But you do exist, but just for the rest of you, we do need the name of the person. If you need to update the name of your people, please do an amendment. Please do the amendment before you do your payment request. Please do your amendment in enough time for the amendment to get approved before you need to do the payment request. All right, so we filled out name, position, filling out total agency salary. So total agency salary and total agency fringe, they are somewhat confusing. Total agency for fringe or salary means the total amount of salary and or fringe that the agency is paying for this position. So when you are billing quarterly or monthly, it is the total amount that the agency is paying for that position for a quarter or for a month. When we fill out our state funds budget, this total agency salary and total agency fringe is for all the whole year, 2080 hours, full-time. This would be the total agency salary, total agency fringe. On your quarter again, or your monthly billing tabs, total agency is just for the quarter, July, August, September, or the month, for example, July. This is the salary and or fringe paid regardless of funding source, regardless of federal, state, city funds, county funds. You can see that this person is only 64.52% funded. That means that this position is funded by other funds, federal, other city funds, county funds, other grant funds, other unsecured funds. All the funds that go into paying this position for that quarter or month is total agency salary. So this amount, these dollar amounts, are going to come from your payroll ledgers, your pay stubs. You can also help timesheets, you can also have your timesheets help you figure out hours worked or grant hours worked, things like that. So some agencies have HR or finance staff that is doing this. Some agencies don't have that. But again, you are using payroll ledgers, payroll stubs, whatever your agency has deemed allowable, approvable for you to use to get these numbers. That's where these numbers will come from. Okay, so state funded is the amount that the grant is going to pick up. Again, only 64.52% of this person is funded. So there's a few ways the agencies decide to bill. Some agencies, not all, but some can divide this total amount from the state funds budget into 4. So, and only bill each quarter a fourth. That does work for some agencies. That does not work for all agencies. Some agencies decide to bill only the grant hours worked. You would have timesheets or some sort of sheet that documents the funding source and the hours worked. Some agencies bill the same percent of total hours worked. Okay, so confusing a little bit. So if I go to bill quarter 1 and I'm billing just a percent of the total hours worked, I would take the total hours worked in quarter 1, July, August, September, and I would times or multiply that by 64.52%. So there are ways that are going to be easier for you to do this, and there are going to be ways that seem a little bit more complicated. Do whatever works for you, but make sure that you do not bill more hours or time to the grant than you should. So the hours must be worked. You must be able to show that the hours were actually worked and that they were actually grant allowable or they were actual grant hours. Same with the fringe. Each worked grant hour turns into dollars and has fringe dollars attached to it. So we want to keep our hours or our salary. We want to keep each hour of salary and each hour of fringe together. So we don't want to overbill our fringe. So keep for the percentage or for the amount of worked salary or personnel that you are billing the grant, make sure you're not overbilling you're not overbilling the fringe. We have set up the ledger to help you not overbill the fringe. This is important because it's confusing. As you can tell, even though I'm trying to explain it, it's confusing. It is one of the most monitor findings that we have to go back and fix. It's one of the most reoccurring paybacks that happen. So we have set up the ledger to help you guys not overbill your fringe. So this percentage right here, the percent of state funded salary, auto-populates based on these two numbers. 10,000 divided by 15.5 is 64.52%. That auto-populates. We've put in our total agency fringe. Based on that dollar amount, it multiplies with the percent and creates this dollar amount that is allowable. So you can bill up to $16,1290, or you can bill less than $16,1290. You just cannot bill more than the allowable fringe amount. If you bill more than that, your grant analyst should catch it and send it back to you, or at least start asking questions about why you're billing more fringe than personnel or salary. Okay, that part is a little confusing. These totals auto-populate. These totals here auto-populate. These text boxes are open. Please use them. Put the words and math here to describe how you came up with your dollar amounts. This will be very helpful for you, future you, the monitors, your grant analyst, somebody that comes in to take your place. Anybody that is trying to look and decide and decipher how you came up with this payment request, it will be very, very helpful to have your notes here. Hours times wage, whatever, percentage of salary, whatever it is, how you came up with these numbers, very, very helpful. Please use these boxes. Okay. You can see that as I scroll through, equipment, supplies, training, travel, supplies, it's just the note box and the dollar amount. You will put in the dollar amount here. You will describe what you're billing as supplies. Again, make sure you're only billing what is approved in your budget. So we're going to pretend like there's a list of things here approved. You're going to make sure that you're only billing what is approved. Travel and training has been combined. Just like personnel and fringe has been combined, you're going to list all your travel, all your training that you're billing, miles driven, rate, list the trainings or the registrations that you are billing, put in a dollar amount, et cetera, emergency funds or other things that you are billing for. These boxes all auto-populate up here into the billing summary, which is going to be important when we go to fill out the system. And then you will see over here, remaining balance. So this amount is after Q1. And then we also ask, as you are building future payment requests, that you bill your future payment requests off your last paid payment billing ledger. So once I make this payment and it's submitted and it's paid, I will use this ledger that has Q1 filled out to build Q2. That is very important. When we get to the end of the year or at any time during the year, we can look at this and feel pretty secure that these amounts are correct. So it helps you, and it definitely helps us, and it helps both of us at the end of the year with your deobligation amount, which hopefully is zero, but we all know that we live in a world where sometimes things happen, and it's okay if there's a little bit of deobligation, but when it comes time to figure that out, this ledger makes that so much nicer. All right, so quarter one is filled out. I'm going to move it over for a second, and I'm going to go back to the Utah Grant Management System. I'm going to log in. I'm going to go to payment request. Oh, well, this is a good thing to figure out. If your application status is pending budget revisions, then your grant is not going to be able to submit a payment request. So you will have to, in that case, you'll have to ask your grant analyst to probably approve an amendment, which, yeah, we have an amendment that needs to be approved. I'm going to push that through real quick and pretend like it took a couple days, which it can, to get an amendment approved. Just know that, because it has to go through a couple different people within our office. So please give us a couple days or so to get that done. All right. I'm going to refresh my grant because it should let me submit my payment now. Okay. Now my grant says funded. All right. Good to know. That's always a good reminder. I'm going to go to new payment request. All right. In the past, these period start and end dates, you guys used to have to choose them, but luckily we have had some updates and we don't have to do that anymore. I'm going to choose year one. This is a 1-year grant, so there will only be year one this year. I'm going to select the payment quarter. That is going to match my billing ledger. I'm billing quarter one. That's where all my dollar amounts are. I'm not going to select a month because that doesn't make sense when I'm billing a quarter, because if I'm billing a quarter, I'm billing July, August, September. There's no way to choose July, August, September. That's why we have the option to choose quarter. Vice versa, if you are billing monthly, let's say I'm going to bill July, it takes away the quarter. So you cannot enter both. So just make sure that you are entering something that you are expecting. Period start and end dates are correct. July 1st through September 30. I'm going to hit create payment request. Payment request created. Okay, so the request was created. We can see that the status is new. It has not been submitted. We are not done yet. You can see that when I hover over this box, it turns green. This will be the case if I have a few payments in here. You'll be able to go in, hover over a payment, and click into it and see the details. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's going to open up into this box here. If you've had a grant with us in the past, this past year, this part looks familiar, except for we are combining personnel and fringe and travel and training. So I am going to show those pieces right now. If you want to enter personnel, we're going to click on the plus sign, and it is going to open up a line at the bottom of the page that I can click the green pencil and edit. All right, confusing is this says federal, but you're state funded. This is just an us problem. It's not a you problem. We have to have the time and the money to change our system to make it say federal. That hasn't happened yet. It will happen in the future. We're going to pretend that this says state instead of federal. This is where I'm going to use my ledger. I'm on quarter one. I'm going to type in personnel and fringe, which is $11,612.90. I'm going to put that in the override amount. and I'm going to hit save. And it is going to populate, and we'll see it appear right here. If I want to open that line back up for some reason, I will hit the I key or the C key, and it will open up this down here. I can green pencil, and it will open up so I can edit it again. If you accidentally hit the plus sign too many times, it'll open up multiple lines down here. You do have to delete multiple lines. If you leave multiple lines with zeros, it does freeze your payment in the system. It will let you submit it to us, but we have to sort of go on a treasure hunt to find why your payment isn't moving forward. So if you please will remember to double check and make sure you don't have any lines with just zeros. You can hit the little red trash can and it will delete that extra line. We're going to enter travel and training. I am not going to enter anything in fringe. I am not going to enter anything in travel. All personnel and fringe goes in personnel. All travel and training goes in training. I'm going to hit the plus sign. It's going to open up my line for me. I'm going to green pencil. I'm going to select federal and pretend I live in a world where that says state. I'm going to pull over my ledger, which is open. Q1, travel and training is $250 because we want the ledger to match the system. I'm going to type in $250, hit save. And I'm going to do that for all other sections of my ledger. You can see supplies is $17.50, other is $17.50. We're going to pretend that I've done that so you don't have to sit here and watch me do that again. We're going to pretend that that is all correct. All federal is in right here. We're sort of ignoring these other columns right now. They don't mean a lot to you. The system sometimes is not correct, doesn't add correct, and all these other columns sometimes do is freak people out, and we don't want you to be freaked out. So just ignore those columns for right now. Okay, this is the only column that we want it to match. You'll be able to see travel and training, $250. Okay, that matches. We'll be able to see supplies, match, supplies. Okay, we're pretending that matches. Personnel and fringe, $11,612.90. That matches, that matches. Okay. All right, the other thing I'm going to mention before you submit this is in the state funds budget. It's not going to show up probably in the first or second quarter, but there cannot be any negatives in the remaining balance, and there cannot be any negatives in the personnel. This does happen more often in quarters 3 and 4, or when you have billed out your grant. Sometimes there will be some negatives here that we will watch for. So just make sure you're checking that as you go along as well. All right, I have my ledger attached. Oh, do I? No, I don't. Oh, you guys, I'm going to pick the right ledger. I'm going to pretend that training billing ledger number 1 is correct, because it is. I'm going to attach that. I'm going to see the file right here. I'm going to get a little green note, which is nice. I can delete that or I can view that. This is where you can come back to get the ledger from previous payment requests. You would click in to a previous payment request, get the ledger, download it from your paid payment request. Sometimes there will be more than one ledger here because maybe your grant analyst, I don't know, sometimes we do find formula errors or we've worked on a ledger. Sometimes there will be an updated ledger here. If you have questions about which billing ledger is correct, oftentimes I will label the ledger as use this ledger. So anyway, use the most updated ledger when you go to do your next payment request. But this is where you would find that in the future. Also, I'm not going to talk a lot about this right now, But if you are an agency that is doing additional or internal approver, this is where you would do that. I'm not going to show you that process. I will do another video on it. More importantly, we do have written instructions on this. We do have written instructions on how to do a payment request as well. But anyway, the internal approver or the additional approver is not a UOVC required thing. It is a your agency required thing if you require it. If you need to do it, oh, look, it's asking us a little question there. Does the agency require additional prior to submission? No, it does not. But if you guys choose to do it, you would click this button and then you would not hit submit. If you are doing internal approver, you would just hit the button and hit save. Most of the rest of you, 99% of you, because only a few agencies do internal approver, you will just hit submit for approval. I'll tell you, if you are doing internal approver and you accidentally submit the approval, it cancels out the submit for approval. And that's the number one mistake that people make. They'll contact us and say, my internal approver isn't working. How come? And it's because the submit for approval button got hit too early or by the wrong person. Again, if you need instructions for how to submit an internal approver, make sure you contact your grant analyst. But for the rest of you, please ignore the last 2.5 minutes of me talking about that. All right. Okay. We're going to pretend that that doesn't exist. And I have attached my budget ledger. I don't need internal approver. And I'm going to hit submit. All right. We're going to get a little green that says submitted successfully, which is nice. It would be nice if the system emailed to let you know that something has been submitted. Sometimes that is happening and sometimes that is not happening. Let me show you how to check. We're going to pretend that I logged out and I'm logged back in. To check, I'm going to go to the payment requests. Oh, do I looks like I actually have to log. Okay, I'm going to log out and quote unquote log out. I'm going to go to my applications. I'm going to choose my grant that I'm working on. Make sure I'm choosing the right grant. This says state, this says funded. That's the time frame that I'm expecting. You can also keep track of this application number. That is not your grant number, by the way. That's just an internal Utah GMS number, and we don't ever use it for anything. Your grant number is on your ledgers and it's on your award. All right. So to show you the status of your payments, I've logged back in. You can see that it says submitted by subgrantee right here. And there's dates and everything on here and amounts. I can click in here and grab my ledger. Once that says paid, let's see if I can get that green box again. Once this box says paid and it's Q1, when I go to do my Q2 payment, I'm going to go in to Q1, paid, and I'm going to get the ledger and build Q2. All right, let me make sure really quick that I have told you guys everything that I meant to tell you. Your grant analyst will email you if there's any questions or concerns. If your grant analyst has to send your payment back to you, it will show up as rejected. You would go back into that payment request and make where if it was rejected, it would say right here. You would go back in there and scroll down and make changes. Right here, our plus signs are gone because this is a submitted payment. But if the payment was rejected, our plus signs would be here. Oh, please don't send us supporting documentation for payments unless your grant analyst or monitoring staff has asked for it. Please, 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 please don't send it. We might even ask you to take it off. We might not even look at your payment request until you've taken it off. Keep supporting documentation in a safe place where you can access it for your monitoring desk review. If you send it to us, it creates a large amount of work for you and for us. Okay. Alrighty. Along with that, I will just remind you one last time before I let you go that personnel and fringe is combined in personnel and travel and training is combined in training. Don't enter travel and training separate or personnel and fringe separate. Enter personnel and fringe in personnel and travel and training in training. And I, fingers crossed, hope that that's everything that I've written down to show you or tell you. And I believe that is, but I might remember something tonight when I'm sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, let your grant analyst know if you have questions or concerns. We are here to help you. Don't struggle through. And good luck doing your payment requests.